What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. Today we're going to be talking to you about a hunter build using that exotic class item for us that gives us all of these buffs with amplified, radiant, woven mail, as well as frost armor. So this build gives us so much potential for the prismatic subclass, allowing us to do any type of content you can think of, and with ease. So first off, we got the Spirit of Renewal on this bad boy, so allies inside that dusk field grenade gain that frost armor, and targets inside the field do reduce damage. So very good for throwing it at your feet or throwing it at those champions bosses, so they get that nice freeze and slow on them, plus that reduce in damage. Now on top of that, we do have Spirit of Synthoceps as well, so our melee has improved damage while we are surrounding. I do like it on this build, but there are some other ones I wish I had in this slot. But Spirit of Synthoceps does help us out when we are really up and tight with a bunch of ads near us. Our melee clears out a good amount of them, creates a tangle, and then we use our strand weapon to wipe out the rest. So right here with our abilities, aspects, and fragments, we're going to use our Silk Strike because it's a good overall damage, plus pairs well with what we have inside of our fragments down there. I'm using my Markman's dodge triple jump with this threaded spike. Like I said, we're using this to create ourselves some tangles as well as sever those enemies. On top of that, obviously our dust field grenades for that class item and the renewal on it, making these even more juicy. Top of that, we're going to be using our ascension. This will help us to get that jolt on targets as well as amplification. With our dusk field is what's going to give us that nice frozen armor on it. Now we are going to be using our class ability to create spected threads as well, so we can create even more of those tangles on top of what we're already doing. Facet of Ruin right here to increase the size of the shatter of those stasis crystals and frozen enemies that we are getting with our grenade right there. Facet of Solitude, landing those precision hits creates that severing, so we're getting even more severing effects besides just our melee right there. Class of Purpose, we are getting those orbs of power to give us that woven mail, overshield, frost armor, restoration, amplification. So since we are using the Silk Strike, when we pick up those orbs of power, we're getting that nice little beautiful woven mail on top of the frost armor that we're getting from the dust fields. Facet of Protection to give us that survivability in some of that endgame, just giving us that damage reduction, with the Facet of Awakening allowing us to get those elemental pickups everywhere. So we're going to create a good amount of them with those stasis shards, those strand tangles like I was talking about, as well as some ionic charges because of that jolt that we're getting from Ascension, with Balance being our last fragment down here, so allowing us to get our grenade and our melee back depending on the damage we are doing on those enemies. Moving on to our armor mods that we have, as well as the stats to go for. I went with Resilience as our number 1, with Discipline as our number 2, having Strength at my number 3, so we can get our abilities with that melee and grenade back fast, as well as stay alive. We're going to be using Harmonic Resonance as well as Dynamo with hands-on right here, so we get our super back really quickly with those powered melee defeats, as well as dodging near those enemies. Also, the Ascension counts as that, so it helps as well. Harmonic obviously just gives us more orbs of power. Little internal feedback loop to get back our melee and our grenade right here, with Grenade Kickstarter on top of that, so we have our dusk field up almost all the way. Depending on the strike event you're going into, whatever damage resistance you want. In our boots, I went with Double Absolution and Recuperation, so we can get all of our abilities back, plus a little bit of health when we get those orbs of power. With last, obviously, we got our Reaper to help create even more of those orbs of power to help proc what's on our boots, as well as our Grenade Kickstarter. Plus, every time we dodge or use that class ability in the Ascension, we're going to get a little bit of our abilities back, as well as our melee right here, so it pairs very well with the subclass and how this build works. Now onto our weapons. Like I said before, looking for a better Relentless right here, but any strand pulse rifle is a good option up here, just so we can use it for our anti-barrier. Plus, like I said earlier, when we're going around with those powered melees, we're going to get a nice little bit of that damage and destruction from those enemies anyways. We're going to get a strand tangle to spawn, then we shoot that and it'll have a nice big explosion, defeating the rest of them. So it is a nice little synergy that we have right there. Top of that, we're using Axial Lunica right here with Reconstruction Controlled Burst for that little bit bit of extra damage because not too bad with this precision frame right here. And then that microchasm, really like this thing to absolutely juice the enemies and do some of that damage with the microcosm. So definitely a good little set of weapons that we have to pair with this build. Moving on to our Hunter's Artifact Journal right here, we got Anti-Barrier Pulse, of course, with our charge being right here with that Pulse Rifle in the dealer's choice. We got our Elemental Charge, getting that a little bit less cost, as well as the Winning Hand. With that nice Fusion Rifle, you can have that nice Solar Explosion as well with it, so it's a good little combination. Threaded Blast right here, they're creating those tangles that I was talking about with that strand weapon. It's going to create a decently big explosion. Press the advantage to give ourselves some stability handling reload with counter energy, pairing well to get our abilities back. On top of that, we're getting that Solar Radiant like I was talking about earlier with Radiant Orbs on this artifact. So we're getting, like I said, Radiant, Amplification, Frost Armor, and Woven Mail all on this build very, very easily, with these two being important to get back our abilities a little bit faster and do a little bit more damage depending on where we are inside of the translucent state or inside of just our normal Guardian state inside of the Prismatic subclass. But very fun build to use, can take it into any type of content. Not a super meta build obviously like some of them are, and with the exotic class item, little bit of an off-white if you will, just not the meta like I said. It's a very fun little build, can do a lot with it, can create a bunch of different effects on us with that amplification, with Radiant, with Frost Armor, and with that Woven Mail. So definitely give it a try out. Go through that normal Breach executables, go through our battlegrounds that we got with Echoes, or go through GMs with it. You have the potential to do all of that. So thank you guys again for watching. Truly appreciate you guys. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.